Okay. Good evening again, everybody. My name is Tammy, and I am a certified Scrum Master, and I'm also certified in Kanban and facilitation skills. And today we'll be talking about the team charter, and we'll be going very quickly into some brief introduction about the team charter, the importance, some components, the elements, and how to create the team charter, some examples, and also real life examples of a team charter, what you should do next after creating this document, how you should document it, and then we'll take questions. So I'll try to not take so much of your time tonight. And please feel free to ask as much questions as you can. And I would also like to say that this is the theoretical aspect. I think we'll be having a workshop about regarding the team charter as well for further understanding and clarity about what we are going to discuss tonight. So to introduce, the Agile Team Charter is like a document, like a guiding document that outlines the mission, the goals, the values, like operational scope of an Agile team. And it is a document that outlines the ways of working of the team's agreements, their missions, their goals, their processes, their ceremonies, and some other elements. So according to Indeed.com, an Agile Team Charter is like an introductory document that aligns an Agile team's mission vision, like the communication protocols, the way they want to work, their team's agreement, and their success criteria. So the team charter helps to like standardize how a team should work so that they can manage costs. So this document prepares the team for success. What do I mean? I mean that it helps them to eliminate conflicts and also help them to enhance collaboration. And it helps the team to be on track and to also eliminate any form of confusion or and it creates like a universal understanding about what to expect in the team. I would like to mention that this team charter is one of the first documents that a team that is beginning to work together for the first time should actually have and should actually prepare, because if you're meeting yourself for the first time and you're coming together as a team to work on a project for the first time, it's very important to actually create this document. So when a team come together to work for the first time, like I explained, to achieve a common goal, there's usually friction. I mean, and the difference between a productive team and a chaotic team, or let me say an ineffective team, is how they can move past this friction. So when I talk about friction, I mean that misalignment of goals. And when this misalignment of goals happen, there could be a lot of conflicts. Some conflict may arise. And usually the friction occurs at the first stage of a team development. And very quickly, I would like us to actually go through all the stages of a team development. I would also like to state very quickly, like, yeah, most of you all in this call today are probably working together for the first time. And I'm sure that you can also notice like some sort of friction amongst yourself. I'm not even talking about conflict right now. I'm talking about how you guys perceive yourself. You're still like in your own bubble. You're not really talking. You're just like still being very, very official amongst yourself, which is very normal. And that is the first stage of a team development. So there are 5 different stages: the forming stage, the storming stage, norming, performing, and adjourning. So the forming stage is the stage where the team are still formal to each other. Like, I think that's where most of you all are at this point. And they treat themselves like strangers, like they want to ask so many questions. And in this stage, they are trying to get like acquainted to themselves. And this is where they should actually establish some ground rules and set a very clear expectation for the team. And then there is the storming stage. So members of the team, they start to communicate their feelings in this stage. They start to communicate their feelings more, but they still do not understand like the concept of the team. So in this stage, conflict may actually arise a lot. And at this stage, and the team may probably start working in silos. I mean, they might probably start to work on their own or in their own bubble. And they could also be hostile to themselves. And this is where the Scrum Master make them understand the importance of teamwork and then use a lot of conflict resolution technique. And then there's also the numbing stage that in this stage, they start to feel more like a team. They start to reconcile, then there's anxiety that lowers, and every member of the team start to become more supportive of each other, and they tend to accept the viewpoint of one another. And then there is the performing, where the team starts to like demonstrate a very healthy system, and they have like an open communication, and then they trust each other well. They try to like celebrate their wins as a team. They put little or no importance in hierarchy at all at this stage. And then adjourning is the stage whereby the team recognizes every member's contribution to the goals that they've achieved in the past and the goals that they're actually achieving at the moment. And they also come together to like access their wins and progresses. And sometimes some changes may occur in this stage. Maybe some maybe some team members may be moved to another team or something in this stage. So this is where it happens, but they tend to like celebrate themselves more, and they give a lot of recognition as much as they can at this stage. So again, like I explained earlier, moving on to be conscious of time, the friction that I was talking about earlier, it occurs during the norming and the storming stage of a team development. And then the understanding of an agile team charter and how to use it may actually help the team to eliminate this friction and promote some sort of synergy in the agile team. When I say synergy, I mean that interaction among group of people to create a more combined effort rather than them working alone. So this synergy tends to create this form of synergy amongst the team. So very quickly, let's look at the importance of this team charter. So the team charter really helps to protect the team from upper management, because this team charter ensures that the vision of the project is not easily controlled by upper management, most especially if it is an agile project and if you are following an agile way of working. You are not easily, it helps you to not get easily controlled by the management. And in this case, the management may less likely force the hand of the team, because you can easily, oh, actually, not everything. Sorry, is it my, okay. So at this stage, you cannot actually say that, okay, okay, good. Thank you. And so, as I was saying, the upper management will not be able to like force your hands a lot, because there's a process, and they could say, or they could probably be like, oh, how about you don't do your sprint planning today, or how about you add this urgent task into your sprint, because we are upper management, we want to do it. But then you have a team charter, you are able to discuss that this is our definition of done, this is what we have agreed on as a team to do when we have a new task. There's a process, and we can't put any new task or put a backlog item into the sprint, because you have a process that you signed off, like the whole team has signed off, and you wouldn't be easily controlled by the upper management. And then it keeps the budget in line and keeps the project scope by it helps to prevent unauthorized work to be added to the project, like I explained earlier. And in this case, it may prevent additional costs. And it also helps to reduce confusion among team members, because everybody knows what time is what meeting. They know who does what. They understand everybody's roles and responsibility. They know the mission and vision of the project. They know their goals, and like everybody, everything is clear to the team, and it also push them towards success because you're trying, like, instead of you always trying to explain to the team that this is what it is, or let's try to define our processes every other day. But before you start working, before you actually start working on the project, you are able to define those processes, and then you're able to focus more on the things that are more important. And then there are three main components of the Agile Team Charter, which is the purpose that talks about the vision, the mission, the objectives. It just basically talks about why we are here as a team. What are we doing? Like, what are we trying to do? And how are we going to get there? And then there's the alignment that just majorly talks about the values, the principles, the rules, working agreements, sprint ceremonies, the sprint length, like definition of ready and done, like for all of us to just align towards the same thing. And then there's context that decides the boundaries of the team. How do we want our escalation process to be? How should we resolve conflicts? What should be our communication pattern? And how do we transfer knowledge, etc. So we're going to deep dive more into these things. So these are just the element that I just said earlier, like the skill sets, the knowledge transfer, and then we'll try to deep dive more into each of these elements. So the mission and vision statement is very important. And the vision statement is like a description of the future state of the solution that is being developed. So it kind of gives a reflection of the customer and the stakeholders' needs and the capabilities to meet these needs. So let's note that this vision statement should be achievable and aspirational, and it should kind of provide an overview and purpose of the solution that we are trying to develop as a team. So it should answer questions like, so what is this product? Who is this product for? That is, like, the product is primarily for what market? What does this market need to produce? How will it benefit this market? And how is it different from our competitors? So all these questions will actually help guide your team towards creating the right vision statement for a project. So while writing this vision statement, always try to put in mind that it should be attainable and it should be directional, as in it should act like a direction for your team. So you are all clear about why this project should be made. So the vision statement should be customer focused, customer centric, and should be understood, should be easily understood. And for the mission statement, so this mission statement should be concise and should clarify the highest level purpose of a product. So it is usually a to the point statement, like it just goes straight to the point. It summarizes the whole project and it makes everyone understand where they are going to and what they need to achieve, and like what we need to achieve our goals. So it also like shows the purpose of the product. What purpose does this product pursue? And then we have the project objectives. So the project objective are what the team plan to achieve at the end of the project. So when writing this project objective, remember that it should be attainable, and that without them, you may not have like a clear way of communicating the goals before the project and even during the project. So when creating your project objective, ensure that it is brief, but it is also clear, and that it is achievable and it is also realistic. And also try to make sure that it can be completed within a time frame. So there are some techniques that you can use to actually write this objective, but one of them is the SMART technique. So when I say SMART technique, I'm trying to say that your objective should be specific to the project your team is working on. And it must be measurable, because at the end of the project, the team needs to have like a clearer way to look back and see if the project was a success. And also, you should also make sure that this objective is achievable, because if it is not achievable, the project may move slowly and may be delayed. And the objective must be realistic. The project, the objective should take into account how long the project timeline is. So, for example, if you're a team that your project is based on maybe managing people's information, for example, your objective could be like, for example, I'm just saying that, okay, we want to develop an advanced employee management system to bring together all relevant employee information by April 2023, or maybe April 2024 or 2022. So there's a time frame for it. It's time bound. It is also achievable, and you can also measure it. You can be like, okay, we have 500 employees. We want to be able to bring all their information into one management system. So far we've done 300, we are left with 200. So you can actually measure your progress over time, but it's also very specific to what your project is about. Or you could say that ensure that all the office software is updated to the newest version by the end of the project. So you can kind of like measure this as well, because if they are like, again, 500 office softwares, sorry, you can't have up to that, but you can know all the softwares that the company is using, and you want to make sure that they are up to date, and you want to like develop it to make sure that all the softwares are up to date. So I'm just saying that your objective should be specific to your project. You should be able to measure the progress of this objective, and you should make sure that it is achievable. It is not cumbersome. It is not like you want to say that we want to, by the maybe you are in you are probably in January right now, and your project should end in maybe March. I want to say that I want to ensure that over 1,000 employee management employees data should be brought together in a management system. That may be too much for you, or that may be too much for your team, but just try to like make sure it is very, very reasonable, and it's something that you can do within a particular time frame. And then we have roles and responsibilities. So this is one of the most important and the most critical function of the team charter, because when there's a newly formed agile team, you have to get comfortable with working with each other and understand the roles that everybody plays. So to increase the success, every member should have like a clear understanding of their general responsibility and the value they add to the team. So one way to do this is using a whiteboard, like Miro board or Mural. I think there's also a whiteboard on Teams and on Zoom as well, but you can just use a whiteboard. That's for a team that is remote, of course. And then if it's not a remote team, you can obviously use an actual whiteboard. So allow each team members write down the responsibilities of other team members. For example, you as a Scrum Master, you can write down the responsibilities of the developers, the QAs, the business analysts, and the product owner. Then the BAs can also write down the responsibilities of developers, QA, product owner, and Scrum Master. I always try to say that this is one of like the best way of getting the roles and responsibilities out of your team members almost every time I take this session, because it is fun. You get to like see or understand the perspective that other people have about your role, and you also get to like put down the perspective you have about the roles of other people. So it's kind of like a fun way and a fun exercise of getting to know yourselves, and it also breaks the ice. I must say, I've tried it with a lot of my teams at work, and it's usually very fun, I must say. And so when everybody, like, make sure that no team member write down their own responsibilities. So you as a Scrum Master, you're not writing your responsibilities, but write the responsibilities of other team members. So the idea again behind this is to understand the initial perspective of the roles and responsibilities of each team members and understand it. Okay, there was a time I did it in my organization. when we had this exercise, like I was saying, so one of the developers thought that my role was a manager or a Jira board administrator, that if they have any problem with Jira, I must be the first person that they must come to, because maybe that's my work, that's just what I do. And some of them even thought I was like a team manager. And I mean, aside from this being fun, it helps to clear wrong perspective about the roles and responsibility that each team members may have about each other, and to also help you to understand who does what. So after they've like written that everybody's roles and responsibility, you get to have discussions around it, that okay, no, this is not my responsibility. This is actually what I do. This is how I like, this is what I do. This is what you should expect from me. If you need help regarding this, and this, so if you need help regarding agile processes, if you need help regarding understanding the framework, or maybe some agile processes and how we work in an agile way, I'm your person, you can always come to me. So like you are able to like clear that out, you're able to like clear every wrong perspectives that anybody have about each other's role. So it also again gives a proper insight of each other's roles and responsibility, and everybody knows what to expect. And yeah, it's also it had value to the team. And speaking about value, value helps to define a minimum standard of acceptable behavior and performance in the workplace. Like, this is what we can accept, like, this is what we are accepting. This is the behavior of the team members that we want to accept in this team. So you are able to direct the team towards achieving the set objectives. So it kind of creates a norm for the team and influence their behavior and their action. So for example, values you can set include maybe mutual respect. We want to respect each other. We want to be open about our communication. We want to be honest. We want integrity. And we want to have teamwork. Anything. It could be, you could do this in some sort of individual silent writing technique, where everybody just reflect and just pen down what they think that the values of the team should be. So it just makes you guys, makes your team, I mean, have like a minimum standard of acceptable behavior. Anybody have a question? Okay, I thought somebody was speaking. So skill sets and knowledge transfer. So understanding the skill sets, like, it helps you to understand the soft skills and the hard skills that each team members possess. So to achieve this, you ask questions like, what are the skill sets we possess as a team that will actually help us achieve our objective? What interpersonal or what type of soft skills do we possess? What are we good at individually and as a team? It could be maybe some technical skills or some soft skills. You're able to know that, oh, this person is actually good at C sharp, and this other person is good at Python, and oh, this person is also good at Excel. So if you have any questions regarding C sharp or Python, we can meet this person. This person is our guy. So, you can just identify all these skill sets, time management for soft skills, communication, and all those things. And for knowledge transfer, so you should, as a team, you should talk about a knowledge transfer process, especially in cases where team members have unique skills and strengths. Like I explained earlier, that somebody can know C sharp and somebody else can actually be more conversant and more knowledgeable about Python. So you should have a case whereby the team members have um whereby the team members can actually have some cross training in a way that is not disruptive, I mean, to the team's activity. So for example, in my organization, the QAs decided to kind of like block a Friday for learning, whereby they call it like a QA book club, where they can just share knowledge regarding new ways of working, new ways of testing. Okay, there's this new ISTQB standard that I read about, or there's this new knowledge of C sharp that I saw on Udemy that I would like to share with the rest of the team. like just understand how you want to be cross-functional and how you want to have some form of cross-training within the team, because it can actually improve your test process. For example, if you have two QAs or and one person is not available, you know that it's not going to be a problem because the other person is already trained on what that other guy can do. So it's really good.
I mean, you don't have any backside now. Backside now.
a it's a really good kind of practice. Before I go on, I would just really like to say that please be mindful of your speak of your microphone, because this is a recorded session and it will be really good to not have any disruptive conversation. Just try to make sure that your microphones are on mute. Thank you. And fun event. This is also something really fun. For as much as you want to work, you want to focus on your project, you want to achieve your sprint goal and your objective, just always try to make out time to have fun with your team, to celebrate successes and to get to know each other. And again, to get to eliminate the friction at the early stage. Make time to have fun with each other, like I said, to try to celebrate your success. You could have one-to-one session, you could have virtual coffees, you could have game sessions. Again, in my organization, one of my teams, we designated Thursday evening for game time. It's in our team agreement that we want to have a game session every Thursday evening. So we probably do some virtual escape room, some quiz, or we just do some on virtual carries and something fun that you can do within your team, because this it helps the team to be it creates a kind of team bonding with the team. And you can also just have a quick meeting to motivate each other, just something fun, that you can decide as a team, because this will help to increase the team motivation, their communication, the bonding, like I said, and also improve the team spirit. And you can also decide on what fun event to have. So it's good for both remote teams and also virtual and also like on-site team. And then we have the Scrum ceremonies. So all team members must have a shared understanding about the sequence, the rhythm, and the purpose of the Scrum ceremonies. So create a time and date for each ceremonies as a team and understand why each of these ceremonies or events are important. Decide on, again, the rhythm, the sequence, the time, the place, the date for all of these ceremonies. So decide on what time and date for your sprint planning, your daily stand-up, your retrospective, your backlog refinement, your sprint refinement. Just decide on the time, because it's very important. You just should make sure that everyone is clear and they're in the know of what time and dates that all these ceremonies take place. So they also understand like the importance of these ceremonies. So when you are actually deciding on them, also decide on why this is important. Okay, so this meeting is for us to discuss three main things: what we did yesterday, what we'll do today, and if we have impediments. Or for sprint retrospective, it's important, this session is important for us to reflect on what has happened in the past sprints, to identify what went well, what didn't go well, if we have any improvement actions for the next sprint. Or maybe it could be backlog grooming, to like maybe say that this session is to groom is to refine our backlog and get ready for the next sprint. Make it clear, make them understand what the sessions are for. Make like every member of the team needs to understand what the sessions are for. And then we have definition of ready and definition of done. So the definition of ready is like the criteria that a product backlog item must meet before it is considered ready to be committed to any iteration or to any sprint. So these are like a set of criteria that before any product backlog item is being moved to the sprint, it must have met all of these things. So if you go to your sprint backlog and you see that a particular product backlog item does not have an estimated effort, or the story is not complete, maybe it doesn't have wireframe or anything that you decide as a team, for example, then you can say that this story did not meet the definition of ready, and it should not even have been sprinted in the first place. And while creating your team charter, you must all come together to decide on this set of criteria and then define the definition of done. This would actually really help in your commitment reliability, because if you just put different type of product backlog item into the sprint, and then you just start working, like you've committed, maybe you've committed 20 issues or 20 product backlog items, and then at the course of the sprint, you just see that we are dependent on a lot of people, or maybe you just kind of realize that these stories, they are not clear. We don't know what we need to do. The user story is not properly written. So why is it there? Then maybe you are even blocked. You do not analyze it to actually know who you are depending on, and if that person is ready in that sprint to help you with that particular story. So then you are blocked. And at the end of the day, when you close your sprint, when you committed 20, you are able to do maybe only 5. Then you are not true to your commitment. You have to start explaining to your stakeholders that, yeah, we know that we told you that we'll do 20, but now we did 5. That's because when you are starting your sprint, maybe the team has not effectively analyzed the product backlog item to understand what is needed for those tasks. And again, it's going to affect your commitment reliability and the way your stakeholders see you, of course. So always try to make sure that this is defined, these criteria are defined and they are met. And then there's a definition of done. On the other hand, there are criteria that must be met before a product backlog item is considered complete and ready to be delivered to the customer. So if the definition of done is not followed, you are at risk of creating a low quality item, and you just ship a low quality item to customers or stakeholders. For example, of course, you are done with the ticket. At the initial stage, it's met the definition already. And now, yeah, maybe your team just push it to done without critically performing UAT or critically like looking at it to see if it has met up with the criteria of the definition of done. And then you ship it out and you release it to the users, to the key users or the stakeholders. And then there's a bug, or at the end of the day, it doesn't even work as the feature did not function like it is supposed to be or like it is meant to be. It's not going to be good on you, on your team. It's not going to be good on your team. So you're at risk of just shipping out features that are of low quality. So these two are really important and are things that you must set as a team, because it goes a long way in your project. And sorry, example of definition of ready could be that, okay, product backlog item taken to the sprint must have been refined. The product backlog item must contain like a wireframe. It should be written clearly to include user stories and acceptance criteria. This product backlog item must meet invest criteria. So, I mean, this depends on your team and on your project and what you decide on as a team. And then there's definition of done, that it could be like acceptance criteria and criteria tests are fulfilled. The developers have developed the features, unit testing has been done, it has been integrated with other increments and it is working fine. The products have been tested, there's been regression testing, and there's no showstopper bugs, and the features are ready to be tested by the users, and it is also shippable and can be demonstrated to the customer. I mean, there's so many. Just think about it as a team and define these criteria these criteria. And there is the next one, which is the framework. So define the kind of framework that you want to do. Decide as a team what other framework would work best for your project. Is it a project that value can be delivered per sprint, or do we have to continuously integrate or continuously deliver tasks because we continuously get new requirements from our stakeholders every time? And of course, our stakeholders cannot wait. for 2 weeks. They need it like ASAP. For example, if your team is kind of like maybe doing more consultancy, doing more consultancy tasks, or maybe it's like an HR system or a service desk, for example. That's a good example, a service desk. And and then one personnel in your organization is saying that, oh, my laptop is broken, or I cannot access Jira. Of course, you don't expect that person to wait for 2 weeks before they can access their Jira board. So that's the kind of project that if it's a service desk project, of course, you cannot wait. You cannot use a Scrum framework. It has to be agile. Or is it Scrum that you are asked to develop a website and then you get requirements and you can easily say, okay, in 2 weeks, we should be able to be done with the header and the footer. Of course, you can use a Scrum framework to do that. Or if it is a safe project where it's a very large project and you have to use a scaled agile framework and run some PI planning. So based on this, you can decide, you have to understand your project and decide which of the framework you want to use. And then you can decide on your iteration board. What type of board, Azure board or Jira board do you want? How do you want to define your board? So define how you want your iteration board should look like. This board is also used during the daily stand-up to monitor and discuss the team progress. And the board specification may vary again, like I said, based on your framework. So if you are using a Kanban framework or a Scrum framework, you have to, it differs. So you decide on the number of columns your board should have and what statuses this column should be. And the board should consist of statuses, like I said, and it could be to do in progress and done if you are just a Kanban team, because somebody has said they cannot access Jira. Okay, I'm doing it. It's in progress at the moment, then I'm done. It doesn't have to go through so many, okay, it's in BA. Somebody has to write user stories regarding this. So no, the criteria is already like, I can't access Jira. This is a screenshot. Of course, you need to define the definition already for those kind of scenarios to understand what is needed from the user. So it's just kind of like an easy process to do in progress and done. Easy. But if it's like a Scrum framework where the BAs write stories, you have to get it approved by the PO, then you have to commit it to, it's ready to be committed to the sprint, then developer has picked it up, the QA has picked it up, then we are performing UAT on it before we can move it to done. So that is like for a Scrum framework. So you have to define the kind of iteration board that you want to use for your team, and everybody has to be on the same page on this. You must be on the same page. It's not like the Scrum Master will go behind you to just define that board. No, it's not done that way. Everybody must be present to define how they want the board to look like. And then key stakeholders, as a team, you have to identify individuals that are who are expected to be impacted by your project. So according to the Scrum glossary in scrum.org, they kind of define stakeholder as a person that is external to the Scrum team with a specific interest in the project and has knowledge of the project that is required for incremental discovery. So the stakeholders are represented sometimes by the product owner, but every member of the team should understand who these stakeholders are. So identify your stakeholders, understand their impact, the importance of these people in your team, understand their hierarchy, how important are they, who is more important, who are the key and the main ones, how do you want to communicate with them. So understand how this should be done. And yes, how do you actually create this document, this team charter? So you can hold a meeting to establish your team charter. it can be an off-site meeting and it can be online, but just try to set a time aside at the beginning of your project to establish this document. So you set a time. It could be, if you are a team that you can work off-site, like you work in person, like you come to the office and you work, you can set a time and a place out of the office and maybe start by spending some time together to do some non-work activities and decide, and then you can now come back to like have this team chatter. So it's just good for you to have some form of icebreaker before you establish it, so that everybody's relaxed, their mind is relaxed, they are able to freely contribute without holding back. So it's kind of important for you to first of all start with some sort of ice-breaking session or some sort of fun activity as well. And again, like I said, it's important because it will help develop a fun and memorable way of writing the team charter. So you're able to like remember how nice it was when you were writing the team charter. And even if you can't have a retreat, it's just quite important to create like a time for the team to work and create this team charter. You can have energizers or just some brief, again, just ice-breaking moments really is quite important. So also put in mind that every member of the team will ask questions. And it is important that as Scrum Masters, you are able to walk members through every questions they have regarding this process. And also remember that you are also a team member. So everybody would have questions, and always try to make sure that as a team, the team should make sure that the questions are properly answered and every member are free enough to ask their questions. Nobody is a solution provider, of course, but always try to listen to each other's suggestions and create the team charter together as a team. And then I was going to show some example of another team charter. So this is one example I got off the internet. It shows the mission, the roles and responsibilities, what should be in them, weakness and risk, the goals, the values, the norm. And this is one example. This is a documentation of the team charter that has been done by a team in Blue Sky. Their mission, their strength, their scope, their behavioral pattern, the time for their sprint ceremonies. And I also wanted to show you a live document on Miroboard that was done by a team in Blue Sky as well. So they had started with identifying their mission, but what they did was to like recognize themselves, and then they started with their mission, they met the team, they understood their values, and then they went ahead to understand the roles and responsibility of each team member, the ADM, the product owner, the scrum master, the BA, testers, the developers. And then they decided on the time for their ceremonies and how do they want to resolve conflict, and then their definition of ready and their definition of done. So this is, again, to be very honest, this was quite interesting. And I was going to say that, to be honest, it's not something that you can do in a day. But if you can do it in a day, it is really amazing. But especially if you are working in an organization that, okay, you just have to set 2 hours for your meeting, and 2 hours may not be enough to walk through this. You might think and think about what should our vision be, what should our values be, and this alone is like, you have to talk about everybody's activity, like everybody's responsibilities, roles and responsibilities. So it might take more than a day. And then, okay, and then what do you do next after creating this team charter? So you have to make sure that everyone agrees on this document. After you've done everything, after you've decided and you've created this document, make sure that every one of you, every member of the team agrees on it. So you can ask yourself questions like, is everyone agreeing to this? Are we good? Is this what everybody's agreeing on? So make sure that everybody just agrees to this. So symbolize their commitment. So if, as a Scrum Master, you can use the team charter to keep the team aligned and on track. So if you feel that they are deviating from the agreement, you can use the team charter to remind them of what was initially agreed on as a team, or what the team has agreed to commit to. For example, I think I always give this example every time I take this session because it's very relatable, and it's one of the issues I faced with my team when I newly joined the organization. We had agreed to have a daily loop, which means that we will have our daily stand-up Monday, Tuesdays, and Fridays. So Wednesdays and Thursdays, we just send in our updates in a shared document, so which was agreed on. Then I realized that they usually come for daily stand-up Monday, Tuesdays, and Fridays, but on Wednesdays and Thursdays, the first few weeks, they kept to it, they kept updating the document, and then I just go on to look at it. Okay, this person has an impediment, or this person, this is what he's going to do to solve his impediment, or he needs to ask this person. So I mean, I'm able to keep track on Wednesdays and Thursdays when we do have the meetings. But then I realized that they stopped after like 1 month. They stopped going to that document, but they still come Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for the dailies, but they just stopped updating the shared document for their update on Wednesdays and Thursdays, which was a problem. But we agreed on this. I just had to remind them that this is what we agreed on. And do you want us to change it? Do you want us to eliminate the daily loop, and we should just have daily stand-up Mondays to Fridays, since it's easier for you to just quickly jump on a call rather than typing? And we're like, okay, yeah, we can do this. So I just want to just iterate on this because the team charter is not a final document. It is something that you can always go back to reflect. You can reflect on it that, okay, I don't think this is actually working for us. That's why you have your retrospective to inspect yourself and then to adapt this, to like inspect your ways of working and see if there's something that you can do better. So it's not a final document. You can always go back to reflect on it and see how you can improve yourself and improve your processes. So again, the teams could deviate somehow on what is agreed on. Maybe there's a conflict and then there's no respect, or maybe they are not even coming for ceremonies, or maybe you agreed on we must put our cameras on for every meeting. We've agreed, and then they just don't do that. So you can always just remind them that, we agreed on this. This is our team charter. So especially for teams that are not so matured. So the team charter really helps in this case to remind the team on what was agreed on. So following this, the team charter helps to answer questions like, are we still true to our mission and to our purpose? And are we reflecting on our purpose? And then he also answers questions about your roles and responsibilities, like, am I still performing what I said I will be performing? Am I still performing my roles in this project like I should be doing? And our work processes, is it effective? And our people backlog items, are they meeting the agreed criteria of our definition of ready and definition of done? Like, are we communicating like we should be communicating? So the team tracker just helps us to like reflect on the team and its processes and to make sure that we are still on track. And you can document the team charter on your Confluence page in Azure. You can document it on your Teams channel in the document part, you can document it on your Miro board or your Mural, your Azure board. Sorry, the Confluence is for Jira. I apologize. On your Confluence page for Jira and your wiki page for Azure DevOps. So these are the mediums in which you can, the media, I mean, in which you can document this team charter. And then I was also going to show you how to use the Azure Wiki, because of course, all the teams will be using the Azure DevOps, and you would also be needing to document your team charter in the wiki page and document some of your processes in the wiki page as well. So I would show that very quickly. Please, can you confirm that you can still see my screen? Anybody?
Yes, I can.
Yes, you can see your screen.
Yes.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
So
Yes,
You see it.
yes,
You see your screen.
thank you. Thank you.
Tell me,
So-
please take us to that website, please. Take us to that website.
Of course. So, okay, I want to make sure that I'm not hearing myself. This is the Azure DevOps. Of course, when you come to the Azure DevOps for the first time, I don't know if you have your project set up on your Azure DevOps or not, I'm not sure. But if you have your project set up on Azure DevOps, it could be one of these projects. Like this is just an example. This is just what I use to take some of my sessions. So we could use maybe Blue Sky, Citadel, this project, for example. And when you click on that project, this is what comes up first. Then you have your board, your backlog, your sprints, and then an overview, summary of the page, the dashboards where you can see your KPIs, your metrics, and then you have your wiki page, which is what we want to talk about right now. So you can, I'm going to try to see if there is one that I don't have. This is also, let's see. Okay, so for example, you are fresh to the project. So this is how it looks like. Just this blank page. Then you can create your project wiki. You can call it, I don't know, Emerald. I'm not sure if that's the name of any of the projects, but let me just guess. Emerald. Apologies. Can be the name of the project, maybe an Emerald team. And then you can save. So this is like the home page, like this is how it looks like. Then you can just be adding sub pages. You can add a sub page for Scrum Master documentation, for example. It depends on what your team agrees on. Again, like I said, and you could have this page. You can edit this page to have a general information about the team, an overview. This is what we do. You can insert a file for your team charter. You can insert your team charter you can even put a link. You can copy and paste a link. Let me just try to do this one. Copied, and then you can just copy and paste a link. You can say, welcome to, it depends on your team, what you want to put on this page. I'm just like giving an example. Welcome to Emerald Wiki, who we are, what we do, and goals and vision. And then you can say, check team charter here. That's if you are done it on Miro board. And you can have tables actually, in case you want, for example, if you want to actually transport it as it is to this wiki page. You can say something like Scrum ceremonies, and then you now say days and time, and then you can now say under this place you want it to first start with, nope, not here. You want it to first start with daily stand-up, and it should be Mondays. I'll be every day, daily, I mean, or every day, 9 a.m. at 9 p.m. to 9:15. Can do that. You can say sprint planning and the like. So you can just fill it up like that. And then you can put something like, you can do another table and say maybe roles and responsibilities, roles. No, sorry, this should be something like, you could do like 3 names, roles, responsibilities. No, this one. Responsibility, and then you can just add the names of your team members, like Tammy, their responsibilities, dash, 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 and then there's Bolo, product owner, PO, their responsibilities, da. So you can, what I'm just trying to say is that you can have it on your page, or you can also put the link to the Miro board that you used. Well, it depends on what you think is appealing for your team. And then you can also use bullet points, of course, to say, values. For example, you can say values are honesty, respect, so you can, there's also task lists in case you need to check off some things. And then there is, in case you want to, for example, you want to just add a link to a word, maybe you can say check Miro board for team charter year, and you want this, I don't think it's this one. Oh, okay, yeah, so you just click on that and then you can paste the Miro board. So when they click on this year, it takes them to the Miro board, you understand? So, and of course you can bold, you can choose a header. Maybe you want to change this one and make it the header. It's possible. So you can just take your time and freestyle. Of course, don't forget to save, because if you close without saving, it wouldn't make any sense. So you can see how it's, yeah. So the team wiki is just like a documentation space for your team, on like to document your processes, to document things like your team charter or the BA repository, where they can document the stories they've written and so many things. So the wiki is quite important as well. And conclusively, I think I've taken 13 more minutes. The agile chartering just helps the team to aim towards success. They come together to share their views regarding the team's purpose, the alignment, the context, and also help to revisit and adjust their ways of working if need be. So the outcome of an agile chattering discussion or a workshop is not a final draft. Like I said, it will always be the draft state, and you must revisit it on a regular basis by the team. As a team, you have to revisit it. So whenever the project or the team changes, or if more things are learned about the project, you can always come back to revisit it and revise it. So that will be all from me. Thank you so much for your time. I don't know if anybody has any questions. Okay, I think. Okay. Do you have any questions?
Yes, Temidayo, thank you so much. There are hands up. So let's start with Vine.
Hi, thank you,
Okay.
Temi, for the
Second.
section. Can I just ask a quick question? I have two that I noted down. One of them is who creates the team charter? And then the second one was what's the role of a BA in a team charter, please? Thank you.
So the role of a BA is to be involved in the process. Everybody creates the team charter. So it's not just the Scrum Master that will come and say, this is our roles and responsibility, or this is our value, or this is when we should have the meetings. So everybody has to input their thoughts and input their views in the team charter. So that is the role of the BA. You have to actually be present while creating this.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you so much, Vine. Adeoluwa.
Any Ade Oluwa Bamidele?
Yes, thank you so much. My question is concerning the Azure DevOps. The application, is it like a live document application whereby by the time you make use of it, every other person in the team can see it?
Yes. You mean that, yeah, you can always make it a live document, depending on where you want to document it. Of course, it should always be a live document. Everybody should be able to access it, whether it's on your wiki, like I showed earlier. Of course, everybody can access the wiki page. If it's a Miro board, you can always send the link to the Miro board and everybody can access the Miro board. Even if it is a PowerPoint, you can always share the link to your PowerPoint and everybody will be able to access it. So, but make sure that it is accessible to every member of your team. Don't know if that answers the question.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Oladele Joseph.
Yeah, thank you. I was first going to ask who the responsibility of creating the charter is, and then you made mention of, according to one of your mention of types of charter, the Scrum, the Kanban, and Safe. Please, what's the difference between those?
Okay, so those are not actually type of charters. They are framework under the Agile methodology. So the Agile methodology is quite broad. There are a lot of frameworks under the Agile methodology. We have the Scrum that deals with 2-week sprint. The goals are set, the sprint goals are set, which I think most of you would be working with the Scrum framework. And then there's Kanban for a team that deals with with projects that are very emergent and dynamic, like I explained earlier. If it is like a service desk or help center, they cannot, that the stakeholders or the key users cannot wait for 2 weeks before you can like release their, or like make a release. They need, like, they really need their problems or the product or their problem to be solved ASAP. Then you can use Kanban, the Kanban framework. And then there is also Safe, if it is like a very big project that you need to like break down into several smaller projects. So everybody comes together one day to understand what they need to do all the teams comes together to understand what they need to do in some sort of like PI planning. So that's when you need to use SAFe. So there are a lot of frameworks under the Agile methodology. It's not just Scrum. There's Lean, there is SAFe. So it's broad. But Scrum and Kanban is the most popular and is the most widely used. But Scrum is mostly used actually. Most organizations they use Scrum, and even the ones that use Kanban, they even use Scrumban, like Scrum and Kanban together. That's how popular Scrum is. So I don't know if you even answer your question.
Yeah, you answered my question. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Adebayo Babalola, say.
Yeah, thank you, Temi. Please, I wanted to ask when you wanted to show us how to use the Azure wiki. You open a particular page where the link, where we input the link. So I was about copying the link when you quickly remove it from the screen. So I want to make a request. Please, can we get it?
Yeah, so they will be sending you your own link. So you may not be able to. Can you mute for a while?
Okay, I'm listening.
So you will not be able to access this link. You won't be able to access my link because it's for my project, and I have to add you as a member. But the admin would be sending you your own Azure link where you can access all these things that I've just mentioned. I'm right, Wumi?
All the links have been sent. Everybody has been added to the Azure board.
Okay. So you actually have your own link, your own project, your own Azure link. So you definitely be able to see the wiki page there. If you have questions,
So please, the link, is it accessible on mobile phone or is only on personal computer?
but you may not get the same user experience, of course. You may not get the same user experience. It may not be as easily accessible, unlike using the PC. But yes, you can definitely access it on your phone as well.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Juliet.
Hello, good evening. Thank you, Timmy, for that lecture. That was quite interesting. A few of my questions had already been answered. One of them was who creates the team charter, and I think you've answered that. But still on that, so when a new project comes in, who or when or how does the Scrum team decide on when to create team charter? So would there be like who initiates the meeting to say that okay, let's come together and do a team charter? And also, is that outside of the Scrum ceremony? I don't
Yeah,
know.
So it's kind of like a process. Before you start a project, you want to understand how you want to do that project, right? Even before you start having your ceremonies, you want to understand when you want to have these ceremonies. So before your team, the project even kicks off, you need to have a plan, a way that you want to work as a team for that project. So these are one of the things that these are one of the ceremony, like one of the meetings that you have to have. It's not like a ceremony, it's just a meeting. And of course, the Scrum Masters facilitate it. It's facilitated by the Scrum Master. And yeah, the Scrum Master can definitely send out the link, send out the invite to everyone. Oh, we have a new project. Let's decide on, let's create our team charter. Let's come together to talk about how we want to work on this project. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes, you did. Thank you. I have one more, I think. So
Please
when
go.
you're covering the ready and done, like definition of ready and done, I didn't quite get the ready bit. So from what you said that ready is basically the PBIs that are ready to be put into the sprint backlog.
Mhm.
Did I get that right?
Yes.
Or did I?
Yes. So the definition of done is like a list of, I don't want to say rules. I prefer to use the word criteria. So there are a list of criteria that the product backlog items must meet before we put it into the next sprint. That is why we have like the refinement process, the refinement meeting or ceremony. Although it's not an official Scrum ceremony though, but the refinement session is a good time to look at your product backlog item if they meet the definition of ready. Before you
Ready.
can
Okay.
before you can say, okay, next sprint, this is ready, let's put it into the sprint. So it's just
Okay.
like a list of criteria. Yeah.
Okay. So on the back of that, I think I remember yesterday when we were during the Scrum ceremony lecture, we were, I think if I remember correctly, that the PBIs are prepared by the product owners. Is that right? And so they bring a
Product
list of.
Yeah, so the product backlog, the PBIs are written by the business analysts, the BAs. So
Sorry,
the
yeah, the
BAs
BAs.
go to,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
So
so
the
if
BAs get the
we,
requirement from PO. Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like the BAs get the requirement from the product owner and then they translate the requirement into product backlog items or user stories.
Yeah, so if we as a Scrum team pick up the list, the PBIs, and we say we do our refinement and realize that a particular PBI is not ready, do we then send it back to the BAs to work on it and then send it
Refine.
back to us?
Yes. So if you are in your refinement process and then they say we want EDA and they just say we want EDA. And then you as a developer or maybe a development team will be like, okay, you want EDA, but you're not telling us how you want it to be. Do you want the home button, home, contact us, about us? Like, how do you want it to follow themselves? Or do you have like a wireframe that can visually represent what you're saying? But if they don't have those, of course, that is not ready. There's no how the development team can work with that. If they just say that, and don't worry, just put it in the sprint. When we know more about it, we'll have the PO later in the sprint, and then you can work on it. That's not acceptable in Scrum. You tell them that no, we don't, it does not, we've agreed as a team that if it has not met the definition already, we are not sprinting it. So they have to like make sure that everything is clear, because if it is not clear, at the end of the day, you definitely may not even get to work on that ticket, and then you are not reliable with your sprint commitments, which says a lot about the team. So that's why it's quite important to have that definition already, and why it's important to have a refinement session. And remember that the refinement session should be in the middle of the sprint. I think it doesn't have to be close to the end of the sprint. It could be in the middle of the sprint. So in case there are questions, the BAs can go back to the PO to get this information and get it ready before the next sprint. There's also one good practice I do it with my teams at work. I do refinement sessions twice in a sprint every week so that we get as much information as we can. So I'm just trying to say that the definition of ready is quite important.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much, Timmy. I had one last question for Olawumi, please. You mentioned recently that everyone had been given a link to Azure DevOps. Was that sent to our Telegram groups, or how was that sent? Because I didn't get anything.
If you go to your direct email that you gave to Blue Sky, so if you go to your email and type Azure, it will pop it up. You just click on the link and join. If you see error 404, this is to everyone now. If you see error 404, if you look below, you see where they wrote sign out. It's very tiny. Sign out and try and relog in again. You should be able to go in. So, but if you're not able to go in, if you check your general group, Bolu posted there earlier that you should please escalate your issues to your Scrum Masters. So Scrum Masters, your role has started on that. Then just to clarify, it's okay. Just to clarify, when somebody spoke about PO, so Temi is right, and that's what I said yesterday. BAs will write it there, but it's just that the PO is the visionaire that gives them, the requirements for them to proceed on the things they want to write there. And the PO is also the owner of that product backlog. He might not be the one to have written it there, but he's the owner of the product backlog items. Thank you.
Okay.
So sorry if I may jump in on the sorry everybody. If I may jump in on the Azure for the people who for the person who wanted to copy the link, you might find it that a project has not been created. So you to get to wiki whatever might not be able to possible for now until the project has actually kicked off. I don't know if I'm right or wrong. Thank you.
If you see that message, you're at the right place. Just let it be. We'll carry on from there. Don't worry. You might probably need a tester's account. Well, as long as you get to that stage that your project has not been created, you're in the right place. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Wumi. And Adekunle.
Thank you very much, Timmy. With a lot of explanations, you've been able to actually open us up to so many things. And in terms of practical, you actually did well on the Azure DevOps. Well, my question is that like I have 2 or 3 questions, but the first one goes this way: that now, for every organizations, they do have their vision and mission statements. Now, for every product that comes in for a company to carry out, that becomes a project of the company, is it on every single product that we're going to have a vision and mission statement per product, on Azure Devil? And one, how is it going to be done whereby everybody will actually see it? I believe you've been able to answer that everybody will have access to the Azure Devil whereby they'll be able to see what is going on there. Now, I want to know if we are to formulate a mission and vision statement per product as a project.
So yes, you are able to do that. You should actually have a mission and vision statement for your project. And of course, it can be in line with the company's vision and mission, but always try to have a mission and vision statement to have a goal that you are working towards for your project.
Okay.
I don't know if that.
Yeah. Then the second one is that the policies and strategies for this project, how is it formulated? Is it the BA that will actually do that, or the Scrum Master, or who is going to do that?
Sorry, I didn't get that. What do you mean by policy strategy?
Meaning how to go about the project, and the processes, breaking it down into the processes. Is it the ADM or BA or Scrum Master that is going to formulate that?
So the BAs, we get requirements from the product owner, and then the BAs we translate those requirements into user stories for the team, for the development team to work with.
Okay. All right.
Do you
Thank
understand? Okay, thank you. Biodun.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Tammy. I just want to ask because I actually followed the link for the Azure Dev yesterday, but it was through a wrong email. And when I followed it, it says add your team members. I just want to ask, I know you said the BA impute the information on there. So, but can the Scrum Master add team members, or I don't know?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's not the BA. I mean, the BAs, like I said, they only just try to translate the requirement into user stories. So you can definitely, as a Scrum Master, you can add your team members into the Azure board.
All right, thank you.
Adeyemi.
Okay, sorry, just to
Okay.
add before Adeyemi goes, sorry if you don't mind, Tammy, just to add, guys, don't worry about all this. We'll show you even how to add them. You have a short demo with Moji on how to add them to the board, or even how to go about the board. For BAs, we'll show you tomorrow too, when we're probably doing the ceremonies workshop on how to do some of these things. You see what goes on, you ask questions and all that. But don't worry, don't be in a rush. This week is onboarding, we'll settle you in gradually. Like today, we're supposed to add one more elicitation, but we've realized that it's going to be too much for you guys. So there will be some tweaks in some of the schedule. I just thought to put that out there too before we proceed. Thank you. All right, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you, Wumi. Okay, sorry. Adeyemi, go on.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I just wanted to ask Azure DevOps here. That's the I want to believe this is just an environment we're learning for now. Because before now I've been able to learn a bit about Confluence and then Jira. And I see that most of what the solutions that Azure DevOps bring is the same that Confluence and all of those other guys to have. And then from the past stuff that I've done, for example, on Confluence, I could develop my product development document, and all of these things that I have mentioned in the all those things in the team charter, for example, it's all on Confluence when you are developing a product, a PRD. So I want you to like explain, like, I mean, is there a correlation, or is it possible to have everything in one place? I don't know if you get what I mean. Instead of having everything in different places.
When you mean have everything in one place, you mean have your documentation in one place?
Yes.
Of course, yes, you can definitely have a documentation in one place. But the reason why I'm just saying that you can try to have it on a whiteboard is, for example, you are a team that you don't work virtually, you have to come to the office to work. You cannot tell your team to, okay, let's populate the Confluence page. Of course, you can do that, but it's more fun if you have an actual whiteboard and everybody's inputting their sticky notes. So maybe the Scrum Master can just gather all those sticky notes and type it into the Confluence page. You understand? So it's just like a visual board that makes it easy for you to have this kind of workshops or ceremonies or meetings, or sessions. And of course, everything that you do could be documented in your Confluence page. That's why the Confluence page is linked to so many things. For example, you having maybe like a roadmap session, like roadmap planning or user story mapping session. You can definitely do it on a whiteboard, and then after, maybe the BAs can just come back to the Confluence page to document it that, okay, we did our road mapping session on this day. This was what we discussed, and to get more information, go to this whiteboard. You click the link and it takes you there. But the documentation and everything is in one place, is in one information tree. So of course you can document everything in one place. That is even the best practice, as a matter of fact, to have everything stored in one place. I don't know if you
Yeah, absolutely spot on. So I would say I'll ask a final question or a follow-up question to say, the solutions that Confluence bring, is it the same as Azure DevOps, or they are two different? Or
no,
they are two different environments?
No, of course they are two different. Of course, they are two different softwares. Of course, you can't say Facebook and Twitter is the same thing, but it's the same social media. I'm sorry, Twitter and Threads. Sorry, I need to grow up in catching up. But Twitter and Threads, they provide the same solution, but they are two different software and they are not the same. It's basically similar. So Azure Wiki and Jira Confluence provide the same solution. Of course, they provide the same solution. You do the same thing on both. You document your processes on both softwares. If it's Azure, Jira Confluence, or Azure Wiki, it's the same. Provide the
Thank
same
you.
solution. You're
Thank you
welcome.
very much. Yeah.
You're welcome. And Biodun.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that. I've already answered.
Oh, okay. So I think that'll be all from me. I don't know if anybody has any questions, but in case you do have questions, remember that we will be having this. I think we should be having this the workshop on creating this team charter soon, and you can definitely take follow-up questions. But in the meantime, you can definitely reach out to your mentors, and they are more than happy to help you. Mark.